Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and the Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualized conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole Love, the Oracle, and I am joined by my co-host, Warrioress Ardeshir, the Alchemist.
Hello, everybody.
And we welcome you to the Alchemist and Oracle. And today we're getting into conversation about finding meaning in finding meaning in life difficulties. And we're going to take it from the perspective of through lived experiences, alchemized as the Warrioress Ardeshir does in an alchemaic way. And I am going to be approaching it from how you can find meaning in the body, from the body perspective, and I'm going to be approaching it from the chakra system. So,
Word.
Let's get into conversation. My dear.
Well, thank you for always a beautiful introduction. This is I had this similar conversation, but it was tied to community with one of the groups that give a shout out to Meaningful Conversations here in the land. Just beautiful, beautiful group of people that how to find this meaning in the difficulty and challenges. I'm talking about finding meaning in the fire, because that's exactly what it feels like sometimes, right? So let's get it. This is not an aesthetic version. This ain't no Instagram. We just gonna get to, the kind that kind of breaks your identity challenges, So I don't believe so. There was a time where people say this, and they continue to say this, something to this effect: is I don't believe that life gives us pain to punish us, but most people have, I put a note down here, have believed this, has said this, and I mean, it's not really true. I never really said that I wanted to be punished by something that went on, but people think even because if they've done something, this, that, oh, I got punished because I was this way and that way. I don't feel that way at all. I believe, difficulty is initiatory, it's an introduction to something, but only if we participate in it. So I never really looked at it this way, but pain is like, it's automatic. All of us will experience pain of some sort. It can't get by it as much as our parents want to protect us from this, or anybody who want to protect us from this. It's just a part. Meaning is constructed. So when I think about it, it comes up where this here quote, and I'm gonna pull it up here. Forgot to hit that on my phone here real quick. And I have the book, and I was actually reading it several years ago. I don't know if it was before COVID or whatnot. It was this here. He argues, and this is the book, I'll show it to you, Man's Search for Meaning. So he argues that meaning, not comfort or survival, sustains the human spirit, with the core concept that life is never made unbearable by circumstance, but only by a lack of meaning and purpose. So meaning doesn't remove the fire. It just teaches, how to walk through it without becoming ash. So let me see, this might be an early example of what I was going to speak about. And so here's the book. One I have, the paperback, is A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. And so when I think about the crossing, let me get to my other point. It teaches us how to walk through. So one of the extensions is that difficulty without reflection becomes bitterness. So I'm gonna go back here, talk about how I had to sit after a while, and I was searching for meaning after my mom was passing, because even though she was still there, was doing other things. I mean, I've, you know, assisted people on many different things, from life insurance, things of this type of nature, and had to sit back because I handled a lot in moving as well, and some of my stuff was still stored from which I had left, and I had to, have it shipped, and then I had to go back handle some other business. And so looking, and I'm sitting in my home office, I'm like, what is this? Or sitting at the house, what is it? What am I here for? In this difficult time, what is the purpose? And so one of my other examples, and I just said this to a guy the other day who shared something with me about a friend of his who was from, military as well. And difficulty without reflection becomes bitterness. So there's a lot of people who have allowed difficulty now become bitter. There are several things that has happened to me. And I told him, I said to myself, and even in the moment as a young person when certain things were happening, I said that I could have hated men. I could have hated them in general. But I realized to myself that it was those people, that person that was in that body who did A, B, and C. And I couldn't see myself being that and having that energy. And something about my soul and spirit was just like, no, yes, I allow the creator source to take care of them. Not wishing nothing bad, because that ain't my job. Regardless, as much as, goes through the mind. Yeah, I'm gonna feel it. Of course, for the moment. I did and wanted to. But I understand that I didn't want to hold that energy within my own body. I mean, there was definitely stuff that lingered in there because I wasn't good enough to remove it, or at the page and stage and through the programs and through Warrioress and some of the things I did. Here was something that I'll share maybe on one of my thing about this harmonic egg. And I'm probably going to be going to it. I'm leaving town. I'll be in Bel Air, Maryland, but we have one in the land as well that I haven't got to. But I didn't want to have that keeping me from enjoying my life, that bitterness of being bitter about the occurrences were directly at me, in more ways than one, without going into it, because I didn't put a precept or a warning message to that. So I won't get too deep in that. And then the other thing is difficulty with awareness becomes your initiation. And as I say, awareness is always key. It's like getting aware when something is frustrating or somebody or some people say, you go, and you want to hit something, hit them, but that ain't the way. You realize, let me check myself for a minute. And why is that hit me? So awareness is always key, is initiation, because your pain is not your identity. It's just an invitation. So now let's break this down. So, and I have a lot of notes here on this part, that identity dissolves. There's three little things under here. I'm going to break this down. The breakdown here for you is identity dissolve, illusion. So we go through all these different things. Control can disappear. It's like I've never said, like saying fake it till you make it. This identity that the dissolve these things, or it never ever felt well with me. Limiting how we talk, and being another thing that we actually are. Limiting beliefs, for example, is one. The collapse of and control is exhausting. Just be, which is personally continue to work on, is just being, is exhausting. Then the last is like illusions of collapse. Now the ego will have us say that a lot of things that we've gone through and have challenged, or that job didn't work out, then that you're a failure. That is an illusion. That's not true. It's what do we learn from it? So the soul experienced this as reconstructing. So my examples here is like releasing the old identity, the perfectionism, the people pleasing, having to let go of relationships, even personal or even family based. Sometimes the search season for a reason is there. It's not, if you're not appreciated, you're not this. Sometimes you have to let go. Some of the identity releasing is that I'm not enough. That's not true. You're always enough. The caretaker and savior identities that have to be released so you can really, really, really be in everything's in these difficulties times. This is all a part of how we walk and how the difficulties come in to play and to find the meaning is releasing these old attitudes and then outgrowing versions of yourself and letting go of control, survival mode, tolerating disrespect to a degree, not speaking up, your voice, unresolving, in moments of difficulty or torment or disagreement. Is to be real, in that moment. Now, I want to clarify some things here. So, what I had to look at and doing the work that we've even done together is what is going on and what is this teaching me? It's just like what's going on right now. What are these difficulties teaching me? What part of me is dying off? Like I said, shedding, because I said, my one's the day I die. What am I done with? What am I here to shed off, to release, to die out, to stay away? What belief is being exposed? I get clear. So I have just for y'all can think in your head. You can journal it. You can use color. You can make circles. Use colored pencils if you don't have them. If you can choose a person, however. It's like, do this. What story am I telling about this? What fear is underneath the story of these challenges or difficulties? And what would I be without that fear? Because there's a lot of fear going on today with what's happening in this world. Do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. What story am I telling about this? What fear is underneath the story? What would I be without the fear? Fear is one of them hard ones, honey. Now, I found that the meaning, finding meaning when the wool stops demanding, the assembly starts offering guidance. So here, looking at the inner, what looks like the inner grade is through this, we create stronger boundaries, for which I have and am doing. Clear standards, less tolerance for misalignment, which is to be in alignment with who you truly are when you're going through such difficulties in a world where we need to find true meaning for us, to find the joy, to find the love, to find even in it, like I say, finding peace in the chaos. It's one of the things I say. And finding greater companionship without self-abandonment in these here. That's the transformation. So I mean, and it's not positivity. So when I look at, and I told her I'd go back to how I identified as a young person of experiencing my great grandmother who used to sleep upstairs when he lives to live, who used to help my mother how to do that, and how I found some meaning even that, and I believe that I used to smell her scent all the time until I didn't. It was brought to my attention that when I didn't, it was that I had released her, or that her presence in that aspect was no longer needed for me. And that was a difficult time frame for me, even probably into my teens or something, or even more in adulthood, and I didn't know it. And I realized that and I don't even remember because I wasn't really journaling then, which I wish I had been, and I know why I wasn't. I needed a locked one that locked up. I couldn't find it.
Oh, wow.
I needed one that locked.
That was a privacy issue.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the diary locked up to actually, record when I was kind of aware of when, and I don't remember when, but I would have if I was able to jot down when my great grandmother's sin had went away, and that I somehow had released her, and then I call it that in that moment, or that if I didn't, she was present in a way that I probably didn't need her that way. And it's not that she went away, it's just in the moment she wasn't as present for me going through her loss, up and through teens, probably in adulthood, but not knowing, but still functioning as an athlete, still doing some of these things. And some people I know have come up, and I never understood that this happened for a reason, or what has happened, because that was her second stroke when she went. But we get into victims. I didn't ever feel like that, but we become into that, even though I have been a victim of certain things, or, then we go into spirit box saying it happened for a reason. No, and then people think because they've done something that something happened. No, we just have to sit in some of these things. And then there's the avoidance, what we know as a distraction culture. We get all caught up in the numbing, overworking, and then there's the scrolling on the phone. So try not to do that when you need to sit with yourself. So the meaning is not found in void, it's found in the contact. Yourself. It's found in the contact. And I get this oh so well. So I want you to feel that. You can't find meaning in avoidance. You find it in the contact. And I, even today, it's, we have to see things differently for us, because actually, if we're in the present moment, like now, speaking y'all in this present moment, everything is good because I'm here speaking to you, or through you, or for you, or for me, for that matter, to remind myself. So you do not control what happens to you. You just do not. We have no way of really doing that, even though we think we do. We absolutely can only control what you become because of what you've been through. Is to choose to rise higher, to be a better version of yourself, to find out after you sit in it what to do, because you're responsible for your world, no matter what's going on, and to look at why it happened. Because sometimes we repeat and we repeat and we repeat. Finding meaning doesn't mean that we have to agree with everything that's happening, agree with what's happening, calling the abuse divine. We ain't doing that, and pretending that loss doesn't hurt. And I know for a fact that I've done this because I didn't have any choice, because I had to continue to move. I had to continue to support myself. I continued to have to do these things, but I took the responsibility to continue to do that. And every now and then I know I sat in quiet sometime. Not so much of why this happened to me, but I didn't understand why it happened. And then it's like, what strength is this demanding I grow from? So it's like, what is it? It's always about, what is it teaching me? What am I going through? And this alone can change my trajectory. It has changed my trajectory. It can change your trajectory in that. But you can't rush the meaning of what it is in the moment, in the challenge. You just, sometimes it takes months, it takes time, it takes years. I mean, it's took, and even through the training, especially after our first one, to realize who my teacher was, what was going on and how I had to shift because I didn't want to feel this way. I didn't
What
want to
training?
respond. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Our Spiritual Warrior One training. Excuse me. I meant to say. I think everybody knows what's in my head, so y'all forgive me. I think y'all know me and stuff, but it's all good. But thank you. That's why I got you. So thank you. So that training, at least in the beginning, so we don't rush this. So I'm going to wind it down here because I just hope that you're with me here. Because difficult seasons, they can be detours, but they're really not. They're just for us to refine ourselves in the moment. It's like what's going on in this very moment in the world. And see, I don't want to be in the world that much. Yeah, it's happening. But what is it that we can do with ourselves within in our own spaces to make any change better? What can we do in this moment? So it's a refinement because it's just like the pressure and the fire it takes to change and put to make a diamond from the resource, from the mineral, from the metal, or make gold the way it is, where it reveals the structure, it tests you, finds you who you are. It also reveals the integrity of who you are. And I have a bracelet that says that to stay in that. Just with the incident that I had, as much as I felt bad about it, did the right thing, and it turned out to be much less. Still had to pay some money, but it found much less. And loss reveals the attachment. So it's just like it just reveals the attachment. So the example of that is the losses that we have had. It's just like we went early. I hadn't talked to my little foxtail chihuahua in a while. I know she's around because she came up. So what attachment is that anchor in finding the identity for you in those moments. So I had made, like I said, a lot of notes, and I hope this helps and to understand how we find the meaning, especially in the mind, and transforming it for our greatest and highest good. And then here I mentioned, if if you're in a difficult season right now, because I always thought I was behind, especially in 2020, all this and everything that was going on with the losses. And she wasn't the only one. There were some other grave ones after her. She was the gravest, my mother. And then another one who I call Ma, who we got so close in 2005. And she used to do my hair when I was younger, with other mothers. But it's not behind. You are being built. You're being built. That's what's happening. These challenges, you're being built. And so I utilize my mother's crossing. You're being built in this moment. So I was built, I put a note here that I was built to come here in front of y'all and for more, to do whatever it was, alignment, or to do whatever, to bring laughter, to do that. I like to dance. I call myself dancing alchemist. I ain't dance here. I should just toss around in my chair. So let me close with this. Meaning is not something you find. It's something that is forged, created, formed, devised. So instead of asking why this is happening to me, y'all, because it's not something that I remember ever doing. It's like, who is it shaping me to become into? Who is it creating me to be in this moment? So I dance through challenges, try to lighten the load of what I'm going through in the moment. Music is my source, dance is my source. Together, lighten the load and finding the meaning in the challenges. Just to ask, who is it shaping me to be? So with that said, I'm curious to see how my co-host, who's find difficulty in the destiny as she chooses the shape and tell you about the body at the chakra levels, which are important.
I was taking notes while you were talking. I wrote, what belief is in your head? I also wrote down that the loss reveals the attachment. And I also wrote down, can't find meaning in the avoidance. You have to find it in the contact. I was like, ooh, I like those. And then it got me to, I literally was going through a journaling session. So if you watch this back on YouTube, you might be like, what is she doing? I was journaling because she inspired me. So thank you for finding meaning in life difficulties, like your perspective. I clearly got some insight for sure.
Ashe.
Yes. Um, so I'm going to So the topic, finding meaning in life difficulties in the body from the body. So we're going to explore the patterns of communication and expression through the physical body. And when we think about it in context of the physical body, we are also more than our physical bodies as well. And so there's this underlying the physical body there's less visible layers, right? And so these less visible layers, they link us with the energetic framework for, let's call it the body template. And so this layer of this body template is fueled by what's called like the universal life force. Runs through us like electricity. So some common ways that this is described is like chi, prana, ashe, or even divine light. So those are like that universal life force that runs through us like electricity. So you may have heard it expressed and communicated in that way. So that's what I'm talking about. And so this energy is present in the spinal column, and it runs from the top of our head to the bottom of our spine. And they talk about this presence in so many different spiritual doctrines, or doctrines, not the word that I'm trying to say, but spiritual teachings and things of that nature. And so what this indicates is that there is a less visible part of the body that we have that is linked at our spinal column. So it's linked at our spinal column. And this is not the only body that we have as it relates to the physical body. So there's another layer, which is called the energy body. So this energy body extends beyond the physical body that is linked at the spinal cord at various access points along the spinal cord. And so these create these layers that extend into or from the physical body because it's linked to your spinal cord, which is located in the physical body. Stick with me. I'm getting somewhere. Trust me. So you have each of these layers that serve as a specific purpose. And also these layers work collectively as one because they're all connected, because they're linked to the spinal cord, and it's all a part of the physical body, and thus extends from that physical body, from the spinal cord. These layers that I'm talking about are what people traditionally called your aura. You have these layers of the aura that interact with your physical body and the energy centers that each layer is linked to at each point along the spinal column. Those are what are called chakras. So I wanted to break it down because I was going to jump in, but I was like, some people might not even know what chakras are. And I was like, I want to talk about them in a way that I feel helps people to understand what they are, why they matter, how they impact us, and what have you. So now that we have caught up to what chakras are, what they are, yada, yada, yada. So the chakras that are located on the spinal column, right? They are energy vortexes that exist within each of us. Every living thing has chakras. Humans have chakras, birds, your pets, trees, every living thing has chakras. They have these energy centers. And so these centers, they transport energy from the world, the universe around us, into our aura. And so your body, which means also between the physical and the layers of the aura, right? That's why we're so sensitive and we're so influenced by the world and the environment around us. Because our auras are out in the world and, like everything is energy and it's influencing and impacting us first at our auric level, that then we experience it on the physical level because the aura links back to those chakras within the body. So for today's conversation, as it relates to the body, there's 7 main chakras in the body, and each one is associated with specific organs and glands and physical functions, as well as dysfunctions, and also emotional and spiritual, expressions. And so because each chakra is a control center of the system of electrical energy that is flowing within the body, because I think it's been proven the body is electrical by nature. So there's electricity moving through. Quantum physics has actually provided proof of this existence. So those that like science, quantum physics has proved that chakras are a thing, that they exist in the body.
Yeah.
Finding meaning, bringing it back to today's topic, finding meaning can always be found in the design of the body, and the chakras can help decipher the difficulties towards the pattern recognition and thus management of greater meaning. So I'm approaching it from that because that's like the work that I do, is looking for the patterns, and I work people's chakras and reading the energy within those chakras and seeing what are the patterns, what are the expressions, how's the body communicating, like really getting clear on what those communication cues are around what they are identifying, which is giving meaning to, finding meaning, and having challenges around that. So today's conversation, we're going to focus on the lower chakras, because the lower chakras are considered the physical chakras, which connect us in the center through the heart chakra. So the lower chakras are like right above the navel, all the way down to the base of your spinal cord. And the reason why today I really want to talk about those chakras specifically is that these ground us as human beings on earth, and where all difficulties with life and thus meaning start at this level. Because I find I don't do a lot of working with people's higher chakras without, like, it always comes back to like your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus chakra. So those are the 3 lower chakras that we're going to be talking about today. And so the root chakra is the first chakra, the sacral chakra is the second chakra, and the solar plexus chakra is called the second chakra. So we're going to be talking about those 3 chakras. And I'm going to go through and as quickly as I can and talk about how you can see the challenges that you are having within the physical body, and getting clear on what is the meaning of that, so you can start to manage how your body is expressing that there's a difficulty that's existing. And my hope is that you start to understand when I go into these, the pattern recognition, like, oh, okay, that's why that's showing up, why I'm having a challenge from the body level. So we're going to start with the root chakra. And so the root chakra is located at the base of the spine, just below the tailbone. And so the root chakra, it holds what I call the attunement of the foundations of our lives and core issues And so this is all about like survival in your world. And this chakra starts developing from birth, essentially. So age 1 to about 7, your root chakra is really activated between that age range. And it's again about your basic needs. It impacts your sense of security and home and family life and how we feel in our bodies and thus on this earth. So that's why the root chakra is the first chakra in the chakra system. And it's the one that I find everybody has a challenge in. If you're having difficulties in your life, look at your root chakra. And so this energy in the root chakra, in terms of like survival in the world, it has this energy. It determines your ability to be firmly rooted within yourself and the world. That is what that chakra attunement, and when you do chakra work, you're tuning in to kind of attune to that frequency and bring balance and you feeling a greater sense of less difficulties and challenges in your world. So unresolved events from childhood that made you feel unsafe or insecure, events that threaten your sense of basic security, whether, real life or perceived threats, they impact you. They have a great impact. And I want to say this, I need to say a disclaimer here. I am not a doctor or medical professional. The following information is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. I have to say that. So let's get into the pattern recognition here. The pattern recognition, or the communication cues of how you can recognize the difficulty or the challenge that you're experiencing in this chakra in the body, is you may have an inability to trust a feeling, or you may have a feeling of being disconnected from just the earth itself, from Mother Earth. You may have issues around identity, culturally speaking. There may be family wounds, not feeling secure in the knowledge of, your basic needs are being met. So like food and shelter and clothing and love. And the pattern recognition and communication cue here too is like, are you functioning out of fear and a feeling of unsafe, not being safe? And how this shows up physically is you may be experiencing constipation. You may have issues with weight. You may have chronic lower back pain, knee problems, depression, low self-esteem. Clumsiness is one, fatigue, pessimism, varicose veins, hemorrhoids, and immune-related problems. So how do you find how can you find meaningful focus? You recognize the pattern. Boom, I see that there's a challenge that's being expressed in the physical body. Meaningful focus is because this chakra is, so there's different archetypes for each of the chakras. For the root chakra is the mother archetype. And so this energy and this vibration is really about embodiment. And so mothering and nurturing to help you feel secure and safe. Like, how can you lean into those type of practices or activities can help you find meaningful focus in helping you to feel secure and safe, becoming your own mother and taking responsibility for your circumstances. That's how you can find meaningful focus. If you recognize you have these challenges, both, physically and also emotionally speaking. Eating well, getting enough rest, becoming less reliant on others is a big one. And mothering and nourishing also means understanding what you need and then providing that for yourself. for the best of to the best of your ability. I think that's important to remember, to the best of your ability. And the more that you start to nurture and mother there's the healthier and more stable that you will become in finding the meaning needs for your life. So that's at the root chakra level. So then we go to the sacral chakra, and the sacral chakra is located at the lower abdomen, right below the navel. And so it's above the pubic bone. And so the sacral chakra it starts to activate at around 2 years of age. And it's all about, the sacral chakra is what they call creativity and sexuality is what like the generalized what the sacral chakra attunes to. So it holds that attunement of creative and sexual energy, matters of intimacy and connection, sex, fertility, and reproduction. And so this energy center, it determines your creative expression, in touch with pleasure and able to share and express feelings in a healthy way, and to create and maintain healthy relationships and connect to the emotional aspects of sexuality in ways that sustain us. That's when that chakra is in a state of balance and thriving. That's how you are designed to exist. But a lot of us have unresolved sexual abuse or trauma, rape, and gender issues that are very prevalent in our culture. And so a lot of people have challenges and difficulties, and it's related to this sacral chakra. So the pattern recognition here, communication cues to kind of call out and see, like, do I have a challenge or difficulty in this physical area? You may have low libido. You may have issues around sex and intimacy. You may have gynecological or fertility challenges. You may have struggles with creative endeavors and also guilt and blame, excessive highs and lows, and money and abundance, either placing like overemphasis on obtaining material goods or not owning our abundance at all, because this chakra is also tied to money and abundance as well. So this also, because the chakra systems are connected, the root chakra, if you have challenge in your root chakra, it's going to impact your sacral chakra here. And so if you have your root chakra, can impact you in feeling safe. So if you have safety issues, it's going to impact you feeling safe around your creative and your sexual expression and connection. And because of this root chakra, root chakra is like your essentially your family structure and things of that nature, your culture and things along those lines, is it can impact you in feeling safe to feel and experience joy, and also childhood, because it's the root chakra. It forms from birth, right? There's family conditioning issues that come in around self-expression. There can be conditionings around sex and sexuality. And so the physical expression, you may have chronic low back pain, you may have issues with your sciatica, you may have pelvic pain, impotence or some level of sexual dysfunction. You may be experiencing hormonal issues, urinary issues, kidney problems. And how to bring meaningful focus, if you recognize the pattern that there's some challenges here, some difficulties here, is to focus on earthly pleasures in all aspects of your life on earth. Like looking at all the 12 areas of life. How can you find the earthly pleasures in everything that you experience in your life? Another meaningful focus is, and this is a big one for most people, is getting in touch with your body and your sexuality. So dance, sensual play, like touch and movement practices can really activate and help to ignite and shift healing in that chakra and that sacral chakra area. And also delighting, how can you delight in abundance that is already around and accessible? Not looking at what you don't have, but looking and see, what do I have abundantly around me? And one of the greatest ways to do that is look at the abundance that exists in Mother Nature. So much abundance that we've been gifted. And also a meaningful focus here, bringing meaning, is learning to cultivate a feeling and activation of trusting that there is always more than enough. And from that, as a result of that, you engage in generosity and giving. So you stop leading from a sense of scarcity or things of that nature. And that's really kind of tied to that root chakra as well, sense of safety and security. And then this is a big one, remembering that joy is our divine birthright and allowing the experience of pleasure of all sorts, joy and peace and pleasure. I'm going to say pleasure again. They become meaningful because we make the connection, we find it, and we create it in our lives. And so the archetype here is the emperor and the empress. And this energy is about balancing the feminine and the masculine energy in this center here. So that's the sacral chakra. So one last chakra here, and then I'll wrap up. And this is the solar plexus chakra. This starts activating at the age of 3. This is when we're there's this seeking of the exploration of your world. What is this is typically the question that you start to ask at 3 years old. Look at 3-year-olds, toddlers, like, no, I can do it on my own. They start being very expressive and exploring and what have you. And so this chakra is located upper abdomen, stomach area, around the navel area here. And so the attunement for the solar plexus is about your personality, self-esteem, sense of worth, and it's all about your personal energy. It is your personal energy center. I call the solar plexus the seat of your will. It's your willpower center. So think like personal identity and power. That's your solar plexus. And so this energy determines the very essence of who you are, confidence in who you are and what you want, and the belief and the willpower to accomplish your dreams. And so when the solar plexus, how it kind of shows up, there's unresolved, repressed, or stuffed anger, issues of control in areas or related to power, really can cause this energy center to be out of balance. And so the pattern recognition or the communication cues, physically speaking, you may be experiencing digestive issues. So think like leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, gallstones is a big one, gastric ulcers, gallstones, liver issues. You may have issues with nausea, pancreatic disorders. So think like diabetes, hepatitis, eating disorders, adrenal dysfunction, fatigue, and bloating. So that's on the physical side of things. Emotionally speaking, you can have a sensitivity to criticism. There can be a sense of agitation. You may have difficulty concentrating. You may be easily triggered, feeling jealousy, the need for control, egotistical may kind of come forward. So you may have a sense of being power hungry, obsessive. Perfectionism comes into play here. It's that control piece, hyperactive and exuding like manic energies and crashing afterwards. You may be struggling with being authentic, having self-doubt, low self-esteem, and insecurities show up. and difficulty manifesting your desires, and you can become really depressed because of this. Because the solar plexus is all about your identity, your personal identity and your power. And so how you can bring meaningful focus to this is to cultivate your personal power in healthy ways, develop tolerance and acceptance of self and others, and take control and harness your power. Stop giving it to other people. Stop being dependent on other people to give that to you. Decision making that enhances your personal power and brings meaning into your life that's aligned and authentic can help bring meaning. And so I spoke out of turn when I was talking about the sacral chakra being the masculine and feminine balance. That's not true. This archetype here is the warrior archetype, and the warrior archetype is the feminine and the masculine energy. And I think it makes more sense here because I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right, Nicole. But I was like, okay, keep going. And so this archetype that's the embodiment of the solar plexus. So it's like, how do you balance the feminine and the masculine energy? Because that's so important because we are feminine and masculine energy. And when that is imbalanced, you become empowered in such a way. And, I really I was called to approach it in this way. So in closing, if you're seeing the difficulties that you're having in your life, it can help you in identifying the meaning that you may be given to it that is causing these difficulties. And so seeing these habits and belief and gaining a greater way to manage, it can help you find greater, more fulfilling meaning in your life. So by looking at how your energy is being expressed at each of these lower chakra centers that ground you into the physical world and thus in your life being expressed and giving meaning how we find it, it can help bring a greater sense of consciousness, a greater sense of awareness around the difficulties towards greater meaning that we may be having. So this awareness around an issue that you may be holding in a specific chakra, it can allow for working with and managing the change in a behavior in order to respond differently. So that is how I see you can start to approach finding meaning in life difficulties from the body, working with those lower chakras. I know I went over a lot of information, but I just felt that I needed to. So I will leave it there on that. Around finding meaning through the patterns of communication and expression. So you want to go deeper, you can reach out to me. If you have a question about chakras, you can, there's so many resources out there. So many resources. But my main point is this. If you hear nothing at all, hear me when I say this. You are responsible for yourself. As an adult, our life becomes, we become the parent. After our parents push us out into the world, however you get out there, it's our responsibility to parent ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to see how we are acting up as the child. What are you having difficulties around? And no one's coming to save you because you don't need saving, because you can save yourself. That's all I have to say about that.
Would you say in your that, especially around the solar plexus, for all of them, that the fruit and food supports us in hitting those challenges as well, whether the raw.
Yeah, there's an entire book. Hold on. There is a book that's called, like, you can eat So you can eat. I also kind of forgot to mention this, but each chakra has a certain color. So if you have like any challenge or difficulties, pick a color fruit or vegetable, and it needs to be real, not processed, organic.
Well,
But even now, I'm realizing organic is not always.
it's still better
It's
depending on
still
where you get it
challenges in
from.
it,
Yeah.
depending on what you're eating. So you can eat for the chakra health based on the color of the chakra. So root is red, solar plexus is yellow, and
Yeah.
sacral is orange. So yeah, food and nutrition is huge. But the thing about it is if you are not in a state of feeling calm, then it goes into like a gut microbiome conversation. If you're in fight or flight, you're not going to be getting the nutrients from the food that you consume.
Because
Just
of the
not.
chemicals imbalances that goes on
Because your
within the body.
body is having to choose which functions to do, and one of the functions that the body limits is digestion.
Right. That's true. Very true.
So that's why
Well,
you can
thank
see
you.
people having like a really good diet, but then you're like, what's going on here? Like, why are you having so many
Stress.
challenges? And it's like, oh, you're stressed. Okay.
Stress. Well, thank you for that. I wanted to throw that in because you know how I feel about food.
Yeah.
So, in
Food is
that
huge.
aspect of challenges and difficulties and things of that nature around it, is to the calmness, is to get still, to get silent, to sit with. It's like the other things I said about why. I mean, when I was real younger, and we're going to end. I took the time to think about, and then when you get an adult, you get all wrapped up in the stuff, and you forget the stuff you used to do, which was to have a thinking. Would go think about why I was upset about something. Go think about why this is going on. To go think, like I said, sit. The things that I shared with her earlier, sometimes we just need to be still. And I know that one person, and you can learn from anybody, whether you like them or not. And that's a room that I would like to have in my house, is a room where you get away from everybody. If you're a mama, a daddy, it don't matter, is to have a room where when I go in this room, I am not to be messed with until I come out. You know, we all need that time. Kids need time out. They need that time. We need that time, especially as somebody who is really raising other human beings. And I'm reparenting myself, because as long as we have breath and body, we can't blame. Only some of our people have only known what they've known until they cross over and know better. But you get the opportunity to reparent yourself, like she was saying, and it's something that I believe we talked about before, and it
Yeah.
matters in
It,
times
it does matter.
of challenge struggle.
It really does
So
matter. We are responsible for reparenting ourselves. And I am a controversial figure, and like I feel like if you need to be pissed and blame your parents, do it. If it gets you to the point of seeing how that experience has impacted your life to where you feel like you're angry at them, because the blame is like, okay, why do you blame them? Okay, we blame them. What's the feeling? What's the emotion? A lot of times it's anger and resentment. So it
yeah,
becomes less about the blame, but the blame helps you to identify like the emotional expression that you're
exactly.
experiencing. So, but you have to be honest about it. A lot of people are pretending like,
That's
oh, I
something
had
where
a
you can
great
let.
childhood.
Yeah. And then once you sit there, then you can release it, and release it with grace and love. Period. Because it's for you.
Yeah.
It's for you. This
Yeah.
whole thing is for you. The forgiveness is always going to be about for you.
It's always for you. It's never about the other person. I think people forget that. I think people don't realize
Yeah.
that. I would say that forgiveness is
Right.
never about the other person. It's
Yeah.
about you.
I mean, I had to do the forgive. I mean, just through our teachings, through our major, and then through the book Forgiveness. And it's like it says, forgive everybody for everything. And it's like, ooh, Lord, really? But yeah, so you can have the ease in body,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
the
so
burden
you
off
can
of
have
you,
the ease.
right?
Yeah, that part,
Man.
that part, y'all. So thank y'all so much.
Thanks for being in conversation with me, Warriors. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you more.
And I want to say thank you for those listening for listening to said conversation and being a part of the conversation here. I think it's important to provide information. And I also want to say filter it out. Take what resonates, leave the rest.
Word.
And
Word.
I think we can leave it here. I think there's enough information in this episode for you to practice your discernment and figure out what you may feel need to engage with. So
Find
leave
some
it
meaning.
there.
Find some joy in the process, baby.
Yes. Find joy. Find joy. Or if you need to find the anger first, from the anger, find the joy within the anger.
Yep. Our challenges will be that.
Mm-hmm. All
Make
right.
you strong.
Thank you all for still being here at this point in the episode. And we hope that we will see you, or that you will hear us or listen to us in the next episode. And for those on the YouTube channel,
yes.
Want to join the conversation, be a part of the conversation, be sure to subscribe and to share and to comment if you want to. And we hope to see, and we hope that you hear us as well in the next episode. Thanks for watching or listening.
Much love and peace, y'all.
Bye.